มีประเทศไทยค่ะและการข่าวที่จะทำให้คุณผู้ชมได้ทราบว่าเช้านี้ประเทศไทยมีค่ะและเช้าที่ประเทศไทยเขาคุยอะไรกันค่ะ
นะครับชมแล้วไม่ตกข่าวครับคุยกันแบบง่ายๆสบายๆ
My dad moved here when he was about 18, and actually his sister, which is my auntie, moved here a year or two before he did, and I think my auntie really thought that it would have been good for my dad to move here since he was such a rebellious teen and he would go out a lot, and so New Zealand, which was a good opportunity for him for work and for, you know, just better life. When they got to New Zealand, they worked really hard. They worked 2-3 jobs. When they first got started, they were picking zucchinis as a job, and they were earning like 20 cents per like bag of zucchinis that they picked. My mom moved here when she was 15, and she moved here with her family, and so it wasn't that hard for her because she always had a support system and she always had that financial like support. Unlike my dad, you know, coming here all alone. Obviously he still had some support from his family too, but yeah, my mom came here for an opportunity at an education, but my grandma always said that she didn't really like going to school and she would skip school and sneak out all the time. I think moving here for my dad was really hard because he was really young. The switch from the two environments were really different. The culture in Thailand is so different from the culture in New Zealand. He just switched from being such a teenager boy to like a working, like kind of almost grown man, I guess. Even though my dad struggled a lot from the change of environment, I think something good did come out of it because then he met my mom, which then led to me. This is my mom when she was pregnant with me. She was very young, and obviously she had all the support from her family there, but I think at the time she must have been really scared. Being in a new country for probably just 4 to 5 years and just having a baby, and probably thinking about possibilities for me even at that age when she was 18. I think she must have been really scared because she probably couldn't even provide for herself yet, and now she has to provide for me at a different country at that age, you know? When I was around 3, 4, my parents moved me back to Thailand because they wanted me to gain the knowledge of the culture, the language, and the traditions because they found it really important to them. And so they sent me there to live with my grandparents, which is my dad's parents. And I was there for 3 to 8, so 5 years, 5, 6 years. My parents didn't stay there with me. My dad came back to New Zealand to keep working for the family, keep working for me. And my mom stayed in Thailand, but she stayed in her city. You know, everything was great in Thailand. My grandparents were amazing. They taught me everything that I needed to know. They taught me their traditions, the history, took me to temple, and they taught me how to respect my elders. They told me everything. And then when I moved here, obviously that was a big change for me because that was all I knew, Thailand traditions. When I came here, I lived in this house with my other grandparents. And when I started going to primary in New Zealand, when I freshly moved here, I instantly got bullied because I didn't know the language, and so it was really hard for me to communicate and make friends with people. I remember actually going to school one time and I had like a Thai lunch. I got made fun of that because it just was different and I was brought up differently, and sometimes when I said certain words it was a bit funky because I didn't know how to pronounce them because it was new to me. I didn't know the language, and I got picked on a lot for that because I was raised differently. It was so hard because a lot of the Kiwi kids couldn't understand me and couldn't understand my family and my traditions. Even though I'm in New Zealand now, I'm still trying to connect with my traditions and culture by trying to learn from my grandma how to cook or listening to Thai music, going to Thai temple. My grandma prays and I sometimes help support her through that as well. I do somewhat feel obliged to repay my parents and even my grandparents and my auntie and uncle and everyone who has helped support me because they all have given me an opportunity to learn their language and the tradition and their culture, and also they've given me an opportunity at education over here in New Zealand. I'm really grateful for everything they've done for me. Even though all of them may have not been there throughout my whole life, I feel in some point of my life one of them were there for me and they were supporting me throughout everything. I want to give them what they gave me as a child growing up. When I moved to New Zealand, I felt like I had to try so hard to fit into the new environment and to like the new culture that I've been introduced to. I tried so hard to learn the language. I watched so many videos and I learned the music. I did so much of that now I've lost a lot of my Thai traditions and culture and language. And so when I go to Thailand now, it's really hard to communicate to my grandparents and my family back there because I've lost a lot of my Thai. And also when I'm here, I feel like I don't belong also because I haven't been here all my life like everyone else. And I sometimes whenever someone brings up like an old cartoon or like old music, I don't know like the lyrics and I don't know what they're talking about, and I just feel, I mean, it's not a big deal, but I just like with that I've just never felt like I belonged.
祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐。นี่ค่ะ
Okay, thank you. ป้าปอมเนาะ